You have no idea how hard it was to get this thing. Ba weep grana weep nitty bong YouTube, RedWhiteandBluestreak here with another Transformers review, and we now live in a post-Rise of the Beast world. And is it any better for it? Well, no, but the movie was pretty good. Transformers Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime comes to us as part of the new and ridiculously hard to find lineup of mainline toys from the movie. The movie itself was really good. I saw it opening night with my friends as well as fellow Transformers fan and movie enthusiast DL. Link in the description if you want to see our in-depth review on that movie. Spoiler warning, by the way. To kind of summarize my thoughts on the movie, it wasn't as good as Bumblebee in my opinion, and there were some pacing issues, especially towards the end. But it was still a very worthwhile follow-up to the reboot Bumblebee. The Transformers themselves were great and actually felt like characters for once, which is definitely something I'm glad to see carry over from the Bumblebee film. The action was fantastic and easy to discern, the score was fantastic as well with some nods to the previous cinematic universe, and the humans were actually fun to watch and not bumbling messes with hardly any redeeming character traits and no proper character arcs. So far we're 2 for 2 with enjoyable human characters in these films. I just need Hasbro to keep it going for their cinematic universe. If you know, you know. Like I said, if you want to get my more in-depth thoughts on the movie, feel free to hit up that link in the description down below to see me and DL's podcast on it. Now back to the figure. I'm glad they decided to keep elements of the G1 inspired Bumblebee movie design for Prime here, seeing as that was by far my favorite live action design for our beloved red and blue trucker. And this toy does a pretty good job bringing that design into the hands of those lucky enough to nab him, at least by mainline standards. I realize the Studio Series figure coming out in August is absolutely gonna blow this $25 piece of plastic out of the water, but considering how mainline movie figures have looked since Age of Extinction, I think they did a bang-up job here, even if it's based on concept art. Something that I definitely think could use some work with relation to the toy though is the distribution. From what I've seen, this and the mainline Optimus Primal toy have only popped up in certain Walmarts, and even then, they only show up in pairs at most. And after that, they're seemingly never seen again after some kid, or more likely, some scalper nabs them off the shelves. I mean, shoot. I was lucky enough to find them at my local Walmart and had to stash them away behind a few Jaxes, whatever. I had to stash him behind a bunch of that figure in order to hide him away because I didn't have the money at the time. And lucky enough, he just so happened to be there when I finally did have the money for the figure. Honestly, it's like Legacy Cosmos all over again. I digress. Starting with the truck mode, this is probably more on the rough side of things for the figure. Like I said, it's still really good by mainline movie standards, and of course they have to leave room for the Studio Series figure to be better. But I can't deny that the shoulders, smokestacks, and feet are a little rough on the eyes. It doesn't help that there's a stress mark from where this panel tabs into the side of the grill section. Oh god, that's not gonna hold up for very long, is it? While we're here, I'm not too sure why they decided to go with this smokestack design for Optimus. I initially thought when I saw these that they were taking inspiration from Make Toys' Striker Manus, and that at some point in the film he was gonna lob those off at some unfortunate Terracon's head. Thinking about it, that might have been a mercy if they would have gone that route. Design nitpicks aside, the truck looks fine, and it rolls very well on nicely sculpted wheels. I could nitpick the lack of paint in some areas, including the wheels, but one, it's a $25 mainline movie figure. I'm not expecting much, and seeing how this figure is this good as a whole, I consider it remarkable. And two, I could just paint it myself if I care about it that much, which I don't. And the truck bed doesn't look great by any means, but at least the weapon storage is better than the Studio Series figure. It doesn't bother me, it doesn't bother me, it bothers me, it bothers me! Look, let's just get this guy transformed so we can get into the real meat and potatoes here. Transformation's pretty good, but far from original. Not that I'm gonna fault the figure too much for that. But it does feel like ever since Earthrise and Studio Series 38 Optimus Prime, G1 style Prime transformations have become all but completely predictable from Hashtag. Once again, not something I'm really gonna fault the figure on, and I'm certainly not gonna fault this little masterpiece. I mean, there's not too much you can do to spice up the transformation without some third-party wizardry. The resulting robot mode, though, is pretty good. I mean, there was a time where we thought that this figure was peak movie Optimus Prime figure design, at least until the Studio Series figure was revealed. And also, after seeing Rise of the Beasts, I can't really say that this figure is exactly accurate when it comes to the movie. I can't even really say that when it comes to the concept art either. This design feels like some sort of combination of the Bumblebee movie design and the Rise of the Beast design with some toy elements from Earthrise. But funny enough, I'm actually not annoyed by that. I mean, unlike the Studio Series figures, the mainline toys are more meant for kids than anything. It's something little Timmy can get as the gift on their birthday, or something they can take with them when they go to see their childhood hero on the big screen. It's not targeted at man-children like myself that display their collections on a shelf, hardly to be touched again. But it is worth mentioning that unlike Earthrise, the Optimus Prime here doesn't mess with the articulation. The head's on a tight swivel that can go all the way around, but bear in mind you're going to need a little bit more force. The arms can go around all the way and can go all the way outward. The shoulder's also on a funny little hinge. There's a swivel at the bicep. The elbow can bend well past 90 degrees. There's a very tight swivel at the wrist. And I mean, if you want, you can break Prime's wrist, though it's mainly for the transformation. There's a very restricted waist swivel. Definitely a little annoying. But there's an unrestricted one right below the chest, though that's mainly for the transformation. An ab crunch on a mainline movie figure? Do my eyes deceive me? Legs can kick forward all the way and quite a bit back. He can do the full splits. That's mainly due to these articulated hip skirts on the side. There's a 90-degree bend at the knee. Of course, there's a swivel at the thigh. There is no swivel at the ankle, but they can move up and down, and there's a pretty nice pivot. I think it goes without saying that Hasbro and Takara have massively improved on the articulation of their movie figures over the years. Though there are still some bits of articulation that feel like they're unnecessarily missing. A ball-jointed head is the main thing that comes to mind. It's odd that something that almost seems standard for Hashtag nowadays, at least when it comes to articulation, is omitted here. But hey, my reviews are relatively inconsistent in terms of structure anyways, so who am I to talk? Anyways, here he is next to a series of other Primes in my collection since I don't have any other Rise of the Beast toys yet. Moving on to accessories, Prime only comes with one and it never even appeared in the film. The Ion Blaster looks great and is sculpted in black plastic with a bit of a gloss finish, and like mentioned earlier, it can be stored on the back of the truck mode. Overall, this figure's pretty good. Sure, it's not completely screen accurate, that's for the Studio Series, and the truck mode isn't the best to look at. Not even the Studio Series can fix that one, apparently. And the articulation isn't all there compared to other movie toys and other mainline figures, but the transformation is fun and he looks great and feels great in his own right. Plus, like I said, the figure isn't meant for me. Definitely a great fit for little Timmy after seeing Rise of the Beasts. 3 out of 5 for this one, and I'm definitely looking forward to the Studio Series figure when that comes out. If I can even get it.